Welcome back to this 30 days of meditation. My name is Nathan. I'll be guiding you through these meditation practices, and today is day 11. So find yourself a comfortable place and let's get started. Okay, so yesterday we talked about our feeling, body sensations, and even emotions. We explored how we kind of trap stress in various places, and we explored that stress and saw what it really was. Hopefully, of course. And today we're going to move on to something which is I've always been planning on doing for this 30 days, but it's funny because a lot of y'all have been asking questions about this, and we're going to talk about our eyes. We're going to experience our eyes as a tool, another tool for meditation practice. And so if you have a question whether or not to keep your eyes closed or your eyes open, this is the practice for you. So, as always, find yourself a comfortable and sturdy seated position. You want to find, and you can actually begin this practice with your eyes closed or open. I will be directing you on that in a bit, but we're going to begin the way that you like to have your eyes. But yeah, let's get started. All right, so like I said before, you can have your eyes either closed or open here. And just begin to settle right here in this moment. And remember, we're not trying to reach towards something here. We're rather stepping back and allowing whatever it is that wants to show up. So, to become a little bit more present, we're not reaching for presence. We're not trying to gain something called the present moment. We're letting go, allowing whatever is already here to simply be here. Letting go of that little control freak who is trying to make things work for itself. Relax and allow. And you can notice your breathing here. And with each out breath, you just become a little bit more open, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more allowing. Here and now. Now, if you have your eyes open, or I'm sorry, if you have your eyes closed, go ahead and open them. And you don't necessarily have to look at the screen, just drop your gaze gently down below you. Maybe looking at the floor or the desk or whatever is just below you. And we're also not looking too close to our bodies where it feels like we're straining. You want to have your gaze about maybe 2 to 3 feet in front of you, on the floor or the desk. And be careful not to be staring or focusing on anything in particular. Relax those muscles around the eyes, the eyelids, and the corners of the eyes. And kind of soften your gaze, but not blurry either. Focused, or rather clear and soft. Gently gazing downwards with the eyes open. Now, this might be uncomfortable in the beginning or a little bit strange, and that's really okay. And you might feel like you need to look around, but see if you can just stay in a particular place. Not necessarily staring at a spot, but just lightly gazing in the same place. And I invite you to just notice what it is like to see. Noticing how the shapes and colors and shadow exist. And even though there's two eyes, we see as one scene, kind of an oval shape of our vision that gets fuzzy and blurry towards the edges. Without looking around or trying to analyze too much, become curious. about what it is like to see. And just stay with this experience of sight. Let it completely engulf you. Are you thinking about something? Or are you noticing your vision? Notice how when you are lost in thought, in the same way that the experience of the breath gets lost to us as well, we also lose our attention with the sight, with our vision. So the next time that you notice that you're no longer looking at the floor, or that the floor isn't clear, it's an indication that you are lost in thought again. So when you get lost in thought, just come back to vision. Not focused, but gentle. Come back. Come back to vision. What is it like? The floor is clear. Allow thinking to come and go. Notice your sight. Okay, you can look at the screen. How was it? If you're comfortable with closing your eyes during practice, that might have been an uncomfortable experience. If you're new to the practice, that might have not have been so uncomfortable. But please, I'd really like to know what that experience was like for you, because I get a lot of questions about whether or not to close or open your eyes. And I don't know if a lot of people, when talking about meditation, give you that instruction that, hey, you can either have them close or you can have them open. It's up to you. But the reason I like to always have that option available, and why we're not going to spend so much time on this, is that firstly, it's the way I learned. I basically in Zen, in the Quantum School of Zen that we learned, we keep our eyes open on the floor. We all kind of sit like this, just like me. Somebody's next to me, and there's a line all the way down. We're all looking at the wall, and then there's a kind of a circle. They're all looking all at the wall, but not really too close to the wall, but far enough from the walls that they can just kind of lightly gaze downwards. And then, of course, the teacher is at the head, at the top here, and we're all sitting there with our eyes down. And that's just how I learned. And so that's why it's been useful for me, because that's how I learned. Now, I'll tell you why we do that. Firstly, it doesn't matter if you close your eyes or not. Just so you know, it's not a big deal. And really, I'm always about just finding what works for you. So if it works for you to keep your eyes closed or open, that's fine. You don't want to spend too much time worrying about whether or not you should keep your eyes closed or whether or not you should keep your eyes open. I just need to mention that because that's important. So you can get really tied up unnecessarily so worrying about whether or not you're keeping your eyes closed. whether or not you're keeping your eyes open or closed. I don't know what that was. But so we keep our eyes open because it is another indication for whether or not we're lost in thought. So like we all know the experience of daydreaming, right? You're sitting there in class. Well, this is when I remember daydreaming. Sitting there in class and you're just kind of like looking off like, and somebody's like, oh. Now, yeah, you were looking at something, but there was no, what's the word? Register that you were actually, what you were looking at. Somebody had to snap you out of being lost in thought. A daydream's just thinking, just imagining something really deeply, and you're just gone. And Sun Sung Sunim used to say that when we are thinking, we lose our senses. We lose our eyes, we lose our ears, we lose our nose, we lose our tongue. And really what that means is that we lose our attention to our senses. And it's no question, when they say, come back to your senses, it's a good thing. And that's what we're doing in practice, really, is coming back to our senses. Because most of the time, we're not with our senses. We don't know that we're breathing. We don't feel the wind on our face. We don't see the little intricacies of cracks in the concrete and how little sprouts of little weeds and gorgeous little flowers popping up everywhere, and the sight of birds and the way the light is flashing on the ground when a car goes by. We're not there. We're here thinking. So when you keep your eyes open during practice, the floor is clear. Not staring and looking around, but also not super blurry. The floor is clear. Nothing special. But when I start talking about dinner and my worries about my job and how I'm not going to ever have kids, or I do want kids and I don't want to do this, meditation doesn't work for me, the floor is no longer clear. And when we notice that, oh, I'm up here, I'm thinking. Or attention has gone up to the thoughts. And it's just another tool. It really helps. But if you're not used to that as a tool, closing your eyes actually is nice too. Because when you close your eyes, you're kind of telling your mind in a way, or your body, that you're about to do something a little different here. You're no longer going to, because so much of our life is through our eyes. We're so much involved with our eyes. So closing the eyes kind of tells your brain, okay, we're doing something different here. We're not seeking outside so much anymore. And that can be a real use as well. You can also use vision, by the way, with your eyes closed, because when your eyes are closed, there's all these little things going around, blah blah blah, little lights show going on behind the lids. Another reason we keep our eyes open during practice, particularly in Zen, is because we do a lot of long practices. We'll sit for 12 hours a day sometimes. And so keeping your eyes open helps you stay awake. You're more likely to fall asleep when you've got your eyes closed. You can just completely fall asleep. When your eyes are open, you're awake, and when the sleep is coming around, so you're trying to stay awake. And that makes it difficult sometimes, though. And of course, another reason that I personally like my eyes open is that most of the day, actually all day, unless you have a debilitation, your eyes are open, right? You're looking around, you're doing things, you're working here, you got this going on, I got to do this, I got to drive, I got to talk, I got to, do something, make a video, whatever. And so when we're practicing, when we have our eyes open, and then when we have insight with eyes open, it's more translatable to our everyday experience. Now, I'm going to talk about this more in the last week of these 30 days, on week 4, but your vision always being here. Well, I'm sorry, what I'm trying to say is we want to destroy, or rather get rid of, this line that we make between formal meditation practice and the so-called rest of our day, the rest of our life. Like, this is my little time for meditation, and then I got the rest of my life to deal with. And really, this dividing line is an illusion. We just create it by thinking. We just call it that. We're just putting a box, a category. And really, you don't want practice to be some separate thing. You want all of life to be practice. And so when we have our eyes open, it really helps divide, or it helps remove that division that we create. Because our eyes are open while I'm waiting for a bus, practice. While I'm talking to you on a camera, practice. When I'm at work, practice, practice, practice. And it seems a little bit more available that way when we practice with our eyes open. So, I know that was probably a lot, but I was hoping to kind of answer all these questions in one go here and explain maybe that might work for you, maybe that doesn't. And it's okay. Really, it's not totally important. You can still translate practice into everyday life, even if you practice with your eyes closed. It's just something that I found very useful, and it's the way I learned, and you might find it useful as well. But please, please, please do not get hung up on it. Do not make this a thing that you have to worry about. Just if you prefer closed eyes, that's fine. Leave it closed. Don't be switching back and forth. Just do it closed. Or if you want to do open eyes, try it out. And if it works, keep it going. And if you have any questions about open eyes too, because you'll start to see shapes and things might still feel a little weird, and just let me know and I can answer those questions in the comments below. And please tell us again about your experience of having your eyes open. I really want to hear about it. I think we all do. I think it'd be really interesting. So, yeah. But that was day 11. Amazing. So tomorrow we're going to do one more. Actually, we have 2 more to go, but tomorrow we're going to do something a little differently. We're going to have another object of meditation to go for. And that is the nose. So, I'll see you tomorrow for day 12.